This is you, and you are sad because you're bored. And then all of a sudden you hear weird sounds coming from your mother's room. Then you start stroking your little sausage, but all of a sudden your mom opens the door. Mom, what was that sound coming from your room?
Son, new Dead by Daylight killer is already on the public test build and he is very scary. I was scared of the new killer, you know.
No way the new killer is this scary, Mom. Let me try to play him.
2 hours later.
Hello my friends, this is actually true. The new Dead by Daylight's killer is extremely weird and very creepy. Probably this has to be the creepiest killer that has ever come into Dead by Daylight, you know? So let's talk about it. But before that, smack that subscribe button or I will smack your mom's butt. So the new killer is called the Unknown, and this is how his face looks from up close. As you can see, this killer has some human origins and he doesn't like to brush his teeth. I guess he doesn't wipe his ass either, so those of you who have shit fetish, you will be interested in this killer. But this killer is actually very weird and I did not expect this kind of a uniqueness from an original chapter. What I mean is that I expected to see something more similar to like the Singularity or the School Merchant. Usually behavior misses with their original chapters and they don't impress me, but this time they've done a very good job creating a very weird character. Now I got to tell you this, that I'm not really interested in the lore behind Dead by Daylight, so I did not read the lore behind this killer. I hope it doesn't suck. When I saw a creepy teaser for this killer, I thought that this new killer would be able to crawl on 4 legs similarly to the xenomorph, and that would have been very cool. But sadly this killer only crawls on 4 legs when you mori somebody. By the way, this killer has a very cool mori and I'm very happy about it. The way the power of this killer works really reminds me of the Singularity, but this killer has more mobility than the Singularity. This killer basically shoots these grenades. They bounce off the walls and if they hit a survivor, that survivor becomes kind of infected. For some reason, developers decided to call infected survivors weekend survivors, not the weekend, but weekend. It's very easy for survivors to get rid of the Unknown's infection, unlike the Singularity's infection. Basically, survivors have to look at you and that's how they get rid of the infection. But the point of the infection is that they become hindered, so they are slower. It's basically Albert Wesker on steroids. And if you hit an infected survivor with your grenade again, it will damage the survivor. If that survivor is healthy, that survivor will become injured. If the survivor is injured, that survivor will go down. So that's very simple. The weird part about this killer is his hallucinations. That's how developers call his primary ability, which is to create these hallucinations, and this killer automatically leaves his hallucinations just by walking around, you know. It's very weird for me to understand how it works exactly, but basically you will get an indication prior to your hallucination appearing and you cannot really decide where the hallucination will appear. The game will decide it for you, which is very weird. But the point of these hallucinations is that you can just teleport to any hallucinations you want, and you do it in a matter of seconds, literally. You teleport so fast, it's like the quickest teleportation in the game yet. It's faster than Dredge's teleportation. And because of how fast this killer teleports, it's very easy to scare the survivors. Like imagine you're just repairing a generator next to a hallucination and then the killer is like BAM! Teleporting to that hallucination. Survivors, they can actually disable these hallucinations, but I haven't really played Survivor like enough to tell you how how good of a counterplay this killer has. Also, this killer brings 3 interesting perks into the game. I think that the least interesting perk is the one that makes you faster for like 10 seconds if you hit a survivor and then vault a window within 30 seconds of injuring that survivor. I feel like this perk will combine very well with Bamboozle or Superior Anatomy. It's Albert Wesker's perk, but I feel like the other 2 perks are more interested. For example, this perk called Unforeseen, you actually need to break a generator for this perk to activate, and then you become you basically transfer your terror radius onto that generator, so a survivor that is close by will hear your terror radius no matter how far away from the generator you are, and then for the rest of the survivors you will be undetectable, so you will be a stealthy killer for like 30 seconds. And yeah, this perk just goes off for 30 seconds and you can use it again. So this perk is actually a very cool perk for stealthy killers. Like for Michael Myers, this perk will be very, very popular, I believe. Another perk called Undone is actually like the coolest perk out of these 3 in my opinion, and this perk will be a very popular perk for the doctor, I imagine, because basically survivors need to fuck up a skill check for this perk to get you somewhere. If a survivor fucks up a skill check, you get 3 tokens, and you can get maximum 30 tokens, and the amount of the tokens you have will transfer onto how much of a damage you will deal to a generator after kicking that generator. And not only will you damage the generator, imagine you have 30 tokens, you will damage the generator by 30%, which is a shitload. But also it will block the generator too, so not only it will damage the generator by a lot, but also it will block the generator. But survivors will need to fail the skill check for you to gain any benefits while running this perk. That's why this perk will be popular on the doctor, because the doctor is like the only killer in the game that is able to mess with skill checks, and on the doctor there are many popular impossible skill checks kind of builds, which I am running on my doctor, the impossible skill check build, and I feel like this perk will benefit me greatly by running an impossible skill check build. So I really love these perks. Also, you can see the map in the background. I really like the map so far. I feel like it feels a little bit too big. That's what she said. But it's beautiful, and especially the cinema. I feel like the cinema should have been bigger, and I wish it wasn't a ruined cinema, but it's cool to finally get a cinema into Dead by Daylight. Like, I did not expect it at all whatsoever, and we got a cinema in Dead by Daylight. That is actually awesome. So this chapter is looking great. I haven't talked about the new survivor. I don't even know her name yet. I know that her perks are not the best, but yeah, I haven't talked about her because I don't know much about the new survivor. I just know that she is fucking beautiful and I would definitely have sex with her.